Hello, my good friend. Today I'm going to teach you how to draw this image right here so we can use it to study our value techniques. We're going to draw it once and then we're going to trace it 3 times so that we can create our 4 value techniques. We're going to use the hatching, cross-hatching, stippling, and blending. So let's get it started. First things first, our paper we're going to be using is a 12 inch by 18 inch paper. What we want to do is we want to find the midpoint of our paper. So going this way, the paper is 18 inches wide. So we want to mark the middle. So we're going to mark on the 9 inch. We're going to drag our ruler to the top and mark on the 9 inch as well. Then we're going to draw a line going up and down. Now listen, draw these lines lightly. Why? Because these are your guidelines to draw the picture. Once we finish with these marks, we will not need them anymore. So we're going to erase them. And then going this way, the paper is 12 inches, like I said. So mark on the 6 and do the same thing on the other side. Mark on the 6 and then draw your line going across. Okay, now the shapes that we're going to be drawing, each one is about 5.5 inches, the size of it. So now that we got our markings, the next thing we're going to do is now we're going to start with our circle. The first one we start with our circle. The circle is going to be 5 inches, so I've already set my mark on here because these are inches. So the numbers of here, the little hash behind the number is inch, and then the longer one that's in between, that's the 1/2 inch. So when we go here, this bottom right rectangle here is where we're going to draw a circle, okay? Now what I always tell people is, in order to draw this circle here, just rotate your paper. Okay, rotate your paper, and that way you don't have to worry about making a mess. What? Bam, there we have our circle. So now we're going to start with just not in the center, but just off to the side a little bit, even a 1/2 inch. We're going to put this little mark right here. So mark right here is going to help us to draw the rest of our shape. So we're going to start with, we got the circle. Now let's start with the cube. The cube is going to be 5.5 inches. So we're going to take our ruler, place the 5.5 inch mark right on the dot. And then try to make sure when you have your ruler, it's parallel to the lines with the paper or even the lines you drew here. Sometimes you can actually use the mark that's here on this ruler in order to line it up. So we're going to mark now on 2.5 inches. And we're also going to mark on 0. Okay. So now that we're on the 2.5 inch, we're going to go down 1 inch. So again, I'm going parallel to this mark here. So this is my 1 inch. So now I want to connect this dot then I'm going to connect and on this side. Okay. Ooh, that was a terrible line. Terrible, but it's all good. Now going down, what I want to do now is the lines going down this way is going to be 4.5 inches. So once again, I'm going parallel. So that means from here, I'm going to mark it right there, 4.5 inches. And then here, I'm going to mark again at 4.5 inches. And then I'm going to connect. Oh, so what I want to do here, I'm going to use this line right here. I'm going to put a dot at 4.5 inside my circle, but I'm not going to draw a line. So now I want to try to connect this bottom one here, like this, because we just want to go towards a circle. And then we're going to connect this bottom side here. So that's our cube for the most part. So now what we want to do is we're going to try to draw that triangle at the top, or the cone. So what you want to do here is, in order to draw the cone, you're going to place this ruler right on this straight line here. The 5 is going to be on this dot. You're going to put a dot here at the top, And also mark it 2 inches, 2.5, and 3 very lightly, okay? Now going across, we're gonna place it on here again like this, because remember we're at 5.5, right? So you wanna go put a dot on 5 and put a dot on 1/2 inch. So these two are gonna meet up with the 0 that we had here at the top. Like that. So now that we got our cone on the top, we're just gonna curve this top part. Yeah. So now we're gonna be trying to draw our, how many sides? Octagon, I guess, if you will, right? In order to draw our octagon, we're gonna start with the top part of our octagon. Now, in order to do so, once again, we're gonna use those 3 marks we have here. We're gonna draw 3 parallel lines, and we're gonna just have those going towards all the way to the end of the paper, okay? And then the next one. So once again, if you want to try to draw the line straight, just use this line right here. So make sure it lines up with that, and then use this one right here to see if they're going straight across together like that, and then put your marks. So now we're going to use this middle line. So from this point of the triangle going this way, mark at 1/2 inch, and then draw a line going down, and you want that line to meet up with the triangle, okay? So now that we got that, all we gotta do now is all our measurements are gonna start from here, okay? So we got 0, now we're gonna mark on 1.5, mark on 3.5, and 5.5. Okay, so we got 1.5, 3.5, and 5.5. And we're gonna draw our lines going up and down. And once again, try to make sure it's parallel to, if you notice. So from here, I'm just gonna draw from right here, okay? Because I need a dot here, and I need a dot at the top. Same thing for this one. We're gonna drag to the 3.5 one. Gonna try to be as parallel as possible. And then put a dot here, and put a dot there, but then draw a line right to that circle. And then for this one right here, all we're gonna do is, we're gonna be measuring from this one going down. We're gonna draw a parallel line again. And remember, this one was 4.5, so that means on this side, we wanna make sure we draw our line from here, going down to 4.5. Okay? And then this bottom part, it's almost like we're trying to connect the bottom and the top like this. So we're gonna draw a line here. It's gonna stop right at the circle, okay? Now, this top part, what we're trying to do now is like our diamond that we have here. So it's like we're trying to make a less than sign. So we're gonna connect the top dot to the middle dot here on this point. Same thing over here. And we're gonna connect this side. The top one to the middle, and the middle one to the bottom. And there we have our shapes. Now, in order to draw our shadows, we're gonna go on this right side of your page, and we're gonna mark on, so the 0's at the top, you're gonna mark as close to the edge as possible to number 9, and then we're gonna put another mark on 11. So we got the 9 inch and 11 inch. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna draw this line here to draw this shadow. Oh, and then for this line on this side, what we wanna do is we're gonna take our ruler and go back on here. So from this one, we're gonna mark down to 5.5. This one's gonna be 5.5. So from that 5.5 to the 11, we're We're gonna connect these two like that. Now from this mark that we have for the 11.5, flip your ruler upside down if you have to. And you're gonna go in from here, going this way 1.5 inches. So now we're gonna connect these two like that. Okay, so that's our shadow for this one. And then for our square here, what we wanna do is we're gonna put the 0 right on this corner right here. This is gonna be our 0. And then we're gonna rotate our ruler so that the 1 meets up with the circle. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna connect this corner right here to this part of our circle. So that's our shadow for our square there. And then lastly is, in order to do the shadow here, we have to do an oval, okay? So what I would suggest here is practice. If you practice this, because this is the shape we're trying to get for the shadow. And that's our shadow right there, right? So all we need to do now is darken in our lines that we have on our drawing. Oh, wait, I forgot about these corners right here. So you see this line is going parallel here? We want to draw that line like it's going towards that, and then same thing on this side. It's like we're trying to go this way, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. This is how we draw our shapes using measurements. And I think you can do it too, okay? It's not that, hopefully I've made it simple enough. I'm not gonna say that it's not that hard, but hopefully I've made it simple enough for you to be able to follow. So now that we've finished with our drawing, what we're gonna do is we're gonna erase all our guidelines. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a Sharpie and I'm gonna follow everything. So now we're just gonna go over it with our Sharpie. And then lastly, this line right here, we're gonna keep this one. Ta-da! And that's how you do that right there. And that's the final picture.